Hi, I'm starting my new video on how to do bathing beauty cards, and I hope you enjoy the show. I'm going to show you what you need and show you the steps in making an awesome bathing beauty card. Here we go. First thing you're going to have, of course, is stamps. There's a bathing beauty stamp set. And the way I make my stamps is you have a nice little acrylic case to keep them in, and then the inside are the stamps. And these have been traveling around because I go different places, so you have to put them back in their little homes, and that's how they go, right like that on their little acrylic sheet. We call that the home of the stamps. And this image up here is what the stamps look like when they're actually impressed on paper, when they're rubber stamped. And what you do with my stamps is, once you open up the shrink wrap and you find your precious little red rubber, you take acrylic blocks, and these are the blocks that TJ Designs I manufacture, and my blocks fit every single one of my stamps in all 40 stamp sets. And the way that you use the stamps is you pull them off of the sheet, you put them on the acrylic block, you put them in your ink pad, like that, and then you press it on your paper. And that's how you use my ink pads. Excuse me, my rubber stamps. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is everything you're going to need to do the card kits. So here's a Bia by the Sea stamp set. Here's a wonderful Bathing Beauty stamp set. And you also are going to need, like I said, the blocks. You're going to need cardstock and some glitter paper of your choice. And you're also going to need my Wild About You papers and my Bathing Beauty collage pack. And these are fabulous because they have so many images in them. This one has all these pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 2. It's got 16 pages of all different images. Some of the images that are really, really great are repeated, but not that many are repeated, and they're fabulous color. And I've taken a couple out to show you. They're just really fun, and I tell you, these are hard to find. So it took me years to get these together, so hopefully you'll enjoy them. And I also mix them with my Wild About You papers, and this has got a ton of papers, and all I did is put little strips of paper in because they want them to match all the images, and all you need is a small strip, the way that I do my cards. So the papers and the Wild About You papers look like this. So they're so fun because they match these Bathing Beauties up so well. And you'll see when we make a couple cards how fun it is. So let's get started. I'll show you the other things you have to have. I always use cat eye inks. So here's the colors. I like to just pick the basics colors. Like here's an orange and a bright orange and a red and a pink. And I'm not that fussy about what color, except for the yellow and the turquoise. I like a real bright yellow. And this is a turquoise color, and I always use that because I just love these two colors. And but otherwise, here's a rust and a green, purple, and another shade of blue. So just your primary colors, kind of, and with your pinks and rust. But get a nice little selection, and that lasts for a long time. And then I also, as a black ink pad, I like to use Sucanico Versafine, and I hope that's working for you to see. It's my favorite ink pad, and also Archivers black ink is also good. And then I use these as well sometimes, and you'll see how I use them when I do my steps. But these are vivid dye inks, and this is a dye ink and this is a dye ink, and these are the two inks I use for rubber stamping. And these inks I use for distressing the paper, and you'll see the difference. These are the only inks I use to actually put on the red rubber. Alrighty, okay, away we go. So you know what you need: the ink pads, the cat eye inks, the blocks, the rubber stamps, the collage packs, glitter paper and cardstock, and scissors and a glue stick. Now I have taken the steps of breaking a few cards down for you, and we will get to those in a moment. And this is how I fold my cards. I sometimes use a domino, but you can also just use the acrylic block, so you don't have any kind of cracks here. It makes a nice seal when you just run your block across it. And the very first thing I do is I pick the papers that I want. So for instance, I would go through, and I've already have some over here that I've pre-picked, but I'll show you my process. I go through here and I think, oh, I like her because she's nice and bright. So I'm going to cut her out. And I do not fussy cut that much. Actually, I don't even use a paper cutter. I just cut it out with scissors because that's just easy for me. My kitties are getting in trouble. Here they are, they're two little black kitties, and they are getting in mischief, so I had to go and move them from my craft table. Her name is Maxwell Smart and Lucy Lou. Okay, so I'm going to cut this one out. And a lot of times I like to back this on a cardstock, and just like a substantial image. Now if I made these in cardstock, you know they would cost a tiny fortune. So I make them in regular text weight paper, but sometimes I do like to back them on cardstock. And here's an example of what I'm talking about. Just put them right on a piece of cardstock. Smooth them down so it's nice and flat. And then I cut it out, and what that gives me is a cardstock image to work with. And I like that. And I do this quite a bit actually, because I just like the substantialness of cardstock. And you can use a paper cutter. This drives some people crazy when I do this because they are paper cutter kind of people. So don't think you can't use a paper cutter. And sometimes, of course, it drives me crazy too, but I don't like paper cutters that much because they're kind of hard to carry around and get enough for a whole class. So I just use scissors. Alright, so I have my image and it's on cardstock, and that's kind of how I start. If I'm making multiples, I actually go ahead and pull out all the images that I want and I put them on cardstock, and that's where I start with these cards. Is I start with my most favorite image, and then the second step is matching it up to paper. And my kitties are making a little background noise, so I'm going to put them in the other room. Give me a moment. I'll be right back. One kitty's being very, very good, and the other one's being very, very ornery. Of course, it is 5:30 in the morning, so they're like all rested and having a good time to start their day. Okay, so here's my card I folded, and here's my image I picked. The next thing I do is I pick out the paper I'm going to use, and I think with her, I like to use blue and orange because that's the colors that she is. I like most of those, so I'm simply going to do this. Tear a little paper here, like that, just like that. And then to come back and get my orange paper. Sorry, my little kitties are both acting up, but they're little babies and I don't want to lock them in another room because they'd be sad. I had a cat named Sheba, and a lot of you that know me know about Sheba. And Sheba is in cat heaven now, and that happened about a month ago. And I missed her so bad that I got 2 more kitties. I'm so excited to have them. I love them. Okay, so this is how you start off. I like those together. I think they look great. Now you can add another piece of this. Some people do. I can't tell you why I do very often because I really like to have the space to stamp on. So that's what we're going to do and leave it as that. Now the next thing I do is I flip these tears of paper over and I simply put glue on it. I know it's too big. Don't worry. We will fix that. I'm going to put it right in place there. Okay, and then this one, we can put it down at the bottom, right here, like that, and then I just simply flip it over and cut that off, just like that, just like that. And that's how I start my card. Okay. And then I come back over and I look at my inks and I look at my image and I think, okay, what matches here? Let me see. And I might just bring this down a little bit and get a little closer so you can see me work a little closer in. A second to make sure this tightens good. So we don't have the camera dropping one of us here. Okay, this is a good spot here. You can see it better. Okay, now the next step for me is I always like to use my yellow ink first, and I use yellow on almost everything just because it's bright, and I really like yellow brightness, so just to add practically to everything unless it's just too obtrusive. But usually I always add up yellow, and as you can see the way that I ink, and here I like orange and I like blue. I always at least use 3 colors, almost always. So the next one I'm going to use is the orange, and the way that I add color is I like to make a lot of cards at once, so I don't fuss around with tools or anything like that as far as adding inks very often. So I just take the cat's eye and I rub it, and I know I'm making kind of like a small canvas to prepare for stamping. So I try to not get this mark of the shape. So my secret is I kind of use pressure. I don't really go like, you know, some people go. I don't do that. You don't hear any of that going on when I'm working with it. But I use pressure, and I like clean color. So if my stamp is dirty, you know what I mean, my ink pad is dirty, I don't get this clean color. So I always try to keep the stamp pads pretty clean. And I'm coming over here and I'm pushing on it and giving some color. Now that is just, it looks messy, but you'll see it'll all come together. That is how I do my backgrounds. And I like to have some color in the background to stamp on because it makes the color of the image, when you stamp it black, pop up. It makes the black pop out. So the next thing I'm going to do is put this down here and think, okay, now what color of of glitter paper do I really want? You know what would really look good on here is orange. That would look really awesome. And I do have some orange, and also turquoise would look good. There's some turquoise. And I just lay my image right on here, like that. And I cut around it like this, like that. Excuse the glitter. And I get myself a little mat on my image like that. And then that goes there. And I could have used orange, and I like this color, but those are the two colors probably I would have used, either orange or blue. Okay, so we have that. Now, I always glue this part on later, because I might want to stamp on here, and I don't want to glue it onto the glitter paper before I stamp. I like to be able to stamp on a smooth cardstock. So at this point, I just have this very close by, and I get out my stamps, and I decide what I want to use. And I also like using these tags, metal tags, because my stamps all have some type of a circle stamp in it. So, and I ink those up too, so I'm going to ink this up as well with the exact same colors. And there we go. I have a little tag. And that's got a little color on it as well. And I'm going to take one of my stamps I love, my Bathing Beauty sets, and stamp the tag. And I like to stamp something else, make sure that my image is right side up. I don't usually waste cardstock, so I stamp something else, maybe even the back of collage paper. Make sure, yep, it's right side up. And I get some good ink on there, so the image is full of ink. Excuse me, the rubber image is full of ink. Then I stamp right inside the tag, and we make our images in the red rubber to actually fit the tags. So that's what that looks like there once it's stamped. And put this one back where it goes in its little home in the case. And here are the Bathing Beauty stamps. I love them. I love them. I love the whole concept of Bathing Beauties. I think that it's fun. It may be because I live in Florida, but I love them. So I'm going to use another one, and this time I'm only using black ink on the background of the card. I love her. She looks so cute, and I like to put her here so she looks like she's kind of walking into the page. And I love that little umbrella. And then I love this little girl also, and I'm going to put her on the other side down here. So it's a perfect spot for her. She's so cute.